Captain's log, start date 151205. How are we all doing this weekend? I'm doing great. Folks, first time ever, had an Admiral on my show. Oh. One and only, my father, the Admiral, Jeff Dimmitt. How'd you flight, Admiral?
Very good, very good, very good.
Very good. You thirsty?
Yes, sir.
Sweet, let us drink. Before we get into that, though, we give some love to I got a new sponsor again this week. Marley's Dog Bones. Actually, shoot, I don't have the card. Marley's Dog Bones. Hit me up. She doesn't have a Facebook page yet, but if you hit me up privately, I'll be more than happy to give out all the information to you. You know what? I'm parched. For you, nothing but the best. It's not your father's root beer. It's not your root beer. It's not yours.
Very good.
That's around the label, not your father's. The backup opening the backup opening device. We get itty bitty, cute little glasses. For you. And then for me, I'm going with Whitsun Ale. This sucker is a whopping 6%. Ooh, I can smell it from here. It smells good. Smell it? Kapla. Ooh, that tastes pretty good. You want a slurp?
Fine right here.
You're fine right there? Alrighty. Well, you know how we do this. Got to give some love to the birthdays first and foremost. Guy I know at Japan, or Earth Station Okinawa, Matt Lewis. He's a scuba diver. Good friend of mine. Like him. Very good. Matt, I hope you had a good birthday back on the 30th. Hope you celebrated well and enjoyed one of these. If not, I'll drink one for you. Next on the list, guy I actually worked with over at Earth Station Okinawa. He's a Patriots fan. Nobody's perfect. Good dude, though. Tommy Gonzalez. Gonzo, bud, how you doing? How's life treating you up on the mainland? Hope it's going well. Hey, I'll drink one for you. Next on the list, I haven't met him yet in person. Seems like a good dude, though. Star Trek fan. Ben Evans. Ben, how you doing? Hope you had a good birthday. I hope Annalise was good to you. You know what? I'm going to drink to you. And the final birthday for the week. This might go quick. Final birthday for the week. A lovely lady living in Colorado, Donna Kehoe. Donna, you've got to do something I want to do sometime. I want to meet an actual Star Trek actor, like a main actor. She's met number one, Jonathan Frakes, the man, the beard. Donna, I hope you had a good birthday. Hope you got spoiled rotten. Hey, I'm going to drink to you. That's it for the birthdays. That was quick. This one might be painless. All right. Next couple greetings I'm going to give out. I recently married them. You know who they are. Christian and Kyra Polanco. Congratulations to the both of you. I'm honored to have been a part of the ceremony. And hey, I'm going to drink to you. And of course, if it hadn't been for Josh Baker loaning me his book, I would not have been able to pull off the ceremony. Josh, I want to thank you so much for loaning me that book. I also want to thank you so much for letting us be a guest of yours out there in Abilene, Yeehaw, Texas. I really appreciate it. Had a good time. Get ready to head back out of here. Josh, as always, I drink to you.
Stay afloat, my friend. Have a good time on the cruise.
Listen to the Admiral. He knows what he's talking about. Excuse me. I'm going to run the next three together. Saw him Thursday. My dear Uncle Steve, Larry Steve Dimmitt, my uncle and aunt, Uncle Gary, and Aunt Mary. It was good seeing you guys again. Good chatting with you. Hey, I'm gonna let you know how that flight was. Here's to you three. Well, I'm dead. Need a top up. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
You're wonderful? How's your drink? Still got some?
Marvelous.
Outstanding. And last one to you, Admiral. Thanks for being a part of this here production. Thanks for the ride, and thanks for everything you did for me the last 3 weeks.
I'm glad to have you home for a while.
Hey, you know what? Thanks for knocking up Mom, too. If it weren't for that, none of this would have been possible.
Very true.
That's it. That is it. All the greetings. All the greetings are done. You know what's next, don't you? Football. I got this week's football picks. Now, I messed up. I lost track of the time. I wasn't able to get out a prediction for the Packers-Lions game this week. So I got to take after the fact. Got to take a loss on that one, even though the Packers did win 27-23 in a crushing defeat to the Lions. Did you see that? You didn't see it? Oh, man. A BS face mask call on the Lions set up Aaron Rodgers for got him a 15-yard penalty, set him up for a first down. A 61-yard Hail Mary, Rodgers to Rodgers. Caught it right in the end zone to win the game. That was an awesome ending if you're a Packers fan.
I hate it when you catch it in the end zone.
That's it. The Lions hated it. But hey, you know what? Lions are done for the year, unfortunately. They kind of got screwed last year, and they got screwed again this year. All right, let's see. Jets, Giants. Did you know that both of these teams could claim the home field advantage on this one?
Did not know that.
They both play in the same stadium.
Did not know that.
They both play at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I got the Giants. I got the Jets pegged to win that one. The Giants have been a little too iffy for me this season. I'm going with the Jets, but hey, at the same time, root for the Giants. Go Giants. Hope for the upset. Cardinals, Rams. Got the Cardinals pegged to win that one. They're doing pretty good, but not in the division. I think they've lost to the Rams once already. Could be wrong on that one, but I am going for the Cardinals. Bless you. Falcons, Buccaneers. I think Falcons, Buccaneers. I gotta go with the Falcons. The Buccaneers looked like crap against the Colts last week. They really did. Trust me, I would know. I was there. They did not look the best. Going with the Falcons. Seahawks, Vikings. The Seahawks just haven't been delivering this year like they should be. Texans, Bills. Now I'm hoping the Bills are gonna win this one, because if the Texans win and the Colts lose, the Texans just took the AFC South, or they just moved into the number 1 spot in the AFC South, putting us in the wild card. But I'm going with my head on that one. I'm calling the Texans are going to win it. Ravens, Dolphins. This is a garbage game. Going with the home field pick. I'm going with the Dolphins on this one. Bengals, Browns. No contest. The Bengals have got it. If the Bengals lose to the Browns, the Bengals are a phony, a fraud, a fake, whatever you want to call them. Jaguars, Titans. Earlier when they played, earlier in the season, I called the Jaguars to win. I'm going with it again. Jaguars are going to win. The Titans are garbage. They're absolute garbage. 49ers, Bears. Now this one's our buddy Josh's game of the week over at Beer and Song of the Day. I'm going to go with the Bears. The Bears. Something's just telling me to go with the Bears. Broncos, Chargers. The Chargers aren't that good this year either. They suck. I think they've only won 2 this year. I'm going with the Broncos. Even though Brock Osweiler's starting again. I don't know. Brock's 2-0 so far. You think we ought to give a moment of silence to the Patriots' perfect season? That's all they get. Going with the Broncos on that one. Chiefs, Raiders. Home field pick on this one. Going with the Raiders. Both teams, They've lost some they should have won, and they've won some they should have lost. Is what it is. Panthers, Saints. Go with the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to come out of this one undefeated. They're just looking good. Eagles, Cheaters. Using the head. Calling the Cheaters going to win this one. Colts, Steelers. Now, Big Ben has been injury prone this year. I've seen him hurt more than any quarterback. He's been carted off the field more than any other quarterback this season, from what I've seen. But then again, the Colts got injuries too. Excuse me. Going with the Colts to win this one. But honestly, could go either way. I think it could go either way. And this week for my toilet bowl, I'm going with the Cowboys, Redskins. The Cowboys suck. No Romo. Well, Romo's out again. Romo broke that collarbone again. He is out again for the rest of the year. And the Redskins, they've been lucky. They are lucky to be sitting on the NFC easy. Well, I'm going with the Cowboys. I want to see the Redskins lose it, and I want to see the Giants win it, put the Giants back on top in the division. That's football. All right, now, you remember the episode Assignment Earth?
No, I do not.
The original series, second season finale. It was actually a backdoor pilot for a show called
I do remember.
Gary Seven and Roberta Lincoln.
Yes, I do remember.
It was actually
And Little Kitty Cat.
Yep, ISIS. That's a spoiler alert. The following segment contains spoilers for this episode. You have been warned. The Enterprise is in orbit of Earth in the year 1968 using the light speed breakaway factor when suddenly the ship shakes not once, but twice. The transporters intercepted a transporter beam from an individual dressed in a black business suit holding a black cat. The unknown person steps off of the transporter platform. Kirk calls for security. He identifies himself to the person, who questions where they're from. With one glance at Spock, he identifies him as a Vulcan and states that they're from the future. The unknown man identifies himself as Gary 7, a human from the 20th century. He states he was beaming to Earth from an advanced planet that's hidden, even in the 23rd century. 7 states he's on a mission that could destroy Earth and possibly change human history. Kirk proposes 7's an invading alien from the future and orders him confined to the brig. 7 attacks the security guards, shaking off the Vulcan neck pinch, and finally dropped from a phaser blast. Kirk orders McCoy to run a bioscan on Gary 7 in the brig. Meanwhile, in the briefing room, Chekhov reports that there are no inhabitable planets in the direction of the energy beam. Engineering reports they're still unable to analyze the beam, which fused most of their recording circuits. The beam could have brought him back through time even. Who knows? Spock lists the major events of the day, which include a nuclear warhead being launched by the United States. Did you know that he also reported an important assassination was going to happen that day?
That's correct.
I'll get into that later. As McCoy finishes scanning 7, Seven removes a small device from his jacket, which renders the force field inoperable and incapacitates the security guard. McCoy declares 7 a perfect human being. As Spock puts the cat down, it makes a run for the transporter room. 7 sets the controls for an automatic beam out as the cat arrives. He picks her up and beams off of the ship. On Earth, he materializes in an office via a hidden portal in a safe. As the wall closes up to hide the safe, 7 looks out the window, remarking to Isis, the cat, that people are living very primitively. 7 accesses a computer in the office, asking about the location of 2 agents who were on the planet. 7 describes the nature of the agents and mission to confirm his identity. During the identification process, he states that human technology is advancing faster than human knowledge. He begins searching for the 2 agents. 7 assumes the 2 agents' mission to set the missile to malfunction. On the surface, in appropriate attire, Kirk orders Scotty to lead him and Spock to 7. A human female runs into the office building, apparently running late. 7 pulls a map and 3 IDs from a replicator terminal, one for the Central Intelligence Agency, the New York Police Department, and the National Security Agency. The map he looks at is from McKinley Rocket Base. The female walks into the office, startling 7, who believes she is the female agent. He asks her about the male agent, whom she doesn't know about. He identifies himself to her and instructs her to give a report of her activities for the last 3 days. He activates a voice interface with the typewriter that begins typing everything she says. And I mean everything. Becoming bewildered at the female, he deactivates the interface. She gets up and says that she's quitting. 7 locks the door and ties into the computer in his office, who identifies the female as Roberta Lincoln, the secretary of the 2 missing agents. 7, realizing he's made a mistake, finds out that her employers are doing research for a new encyclopedia. 7 decides to let her go, but after a confession, he shows her the CIA ID. 7 instructs her not to let anyone in as he discovers his subordinate agents were killed in an automobile accident. Something very worthless. Kirk and Spock approach 7's office and ring the doorbell. As Lincoln tries to divert Kirk and Spock, 7 grabs Isis and heads for the portal. Lincoln calls the police before revealing Spock's ears from his hat. Kirk blasts the door to 7's office open as 7 escapes to McKinley, with 60 minutes to complete the sabotage of the rocket. As Kirk goes through the office, he probes Lincoln for information. Probe. I'll drink to that. As the police arrive, Kirk orders a beam out. Before they beam out, the police are able to hold them up, as all 4 are transported back to the Enterprise. Kirk and Spock jump off the platform, sending the NYPD officers back down to Earth. They give each other a "what just happened" look. At At launch control, Seven manages to immobilize a security guard before stowing away in the trunk of a car. As the launch director goes to the pad, it's his car. On the Enterprise, Scotty is able to conduct aerial scans of the launch pad before beaming Kirk and Spock back down. As the launch director arrives at the pad, he gives it a last look over. Seven gets out of the trunk and manages to stow away into the elevator before Cromwell and security leave. As Kirk and Spock beam down, the security guard that Seven immobilized wakes back up, taking the two of them to launch control. Excuse me. Lincoln, while talking to the computer, exposes the door hiding the portal and begins to investigate. At the launch pad, Seven opens a panel on the rocket and begins making modifications while Isis watches. It's dead, Jim. You dead, Admiral?
Not quite. No.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and bust another one out. I had this one before. Guinness Blonde, a lovely alternative to Guinness Drought. If I remember right, this one is only 5%. Yes, 5%. Oops, she bubbled a little. Kapla! All right. At launch control, Kirk has made a deal about what he knows for charges amounting to nothing, while the countdown continues as scheduled. As Lincoln opens the safe and looks over the controls, Scotty manages to locate Seven and calls for security. He energizes the transporter, and Seven is momentarily on the Enterprise, but Lincoln succeeds in nabbing Seven before Scotty can capture him back. Seven ties into the launch site. At launch control, Kirk watches helplessly as the missile is launched, unsure if he should have said anything to stop it. As the missile climbs into orbit, Seven tries to engage the automatic interface but can only take manual control. Lincoln tries to make a phone call, but Isis alerts Seven to her efforts. Seven snaps the phone cable with a servo as Lincoln sits back and watches before ordering the rocket to malfunction and arms the warhead. At launch control, Cromwell attempts to self-destruct the rocket unsuccessfully. Kirk flips open his communicator, but is stopped by the guard. In Seven's office, Lincoln whacks him in the back of the head, holding him hostage with his own servo. Seven states that if he isn't allowed to finish his task, World War III will begin. At launch control, the guard picks up the open communicator, listening to Scotty. Spock manages to subdue the guard, and Kirk orders transport to Seven's apartment after recovering their phasers. As Seven pleads with Lincoln, Kirk and Spock walk in. Kirk orders Spock to destroy the warhead. Seven states he wants the same thing, and that Spock can only guess while Seven knows what he's doing. Lincoln points a servo at Kirk as Seven takes it and hands it to Kirk. After consulting with Spock, Kirk decides to let Seven take the controls. Seven does so and begins programming the warhead. At 104 miles above the surface, the missile detonates. Excuse me. In Seven's office, Isis is revealed to be able to assume a humanoid form. She doesn't look that bad either. While Kirk, Spock, and Seven debate the events of the day. Seven asks Kirk about the rest of their record tapes, but Spock states that Seven and Lincoln have some interesting experiences ahead of them as he and Kirk beam back to the Enterprise. That is that for that. You know, if I'd have been on my game, I'd have had this thing set up. Okay. Folks, bear with me just a second. Let me get to the background information. You know, this Wi-Fi is not bad in here. Okay, here we go. As I mentioned earlier, this spinoff was designed partly as a pilot for a new series featuring Gary Seven and his mission. Star Trek was teetering on the brink of cancellation late in its second year, and Roddenberry hoped to get a new show going for the fall. The first draft pilot script had no mention of Star Trek or its characters. Assignment Earth did not enter production as a TV series, but Seven and Roberta were featured in several stories, and they spun off a comic book series from IDW Publishing, Star Trek Assignment Earth. I actually read those. They're pretty good. The plot concept of benevolent aliens secretively helping Earthlings, as opposed to the much more common villain alien scenarios, was later resurrected by Roddenberry for his movie The Quester Tapes. Did you ever see that? I was going to ask if it was any good. According to the Star Trek Compendium, the first draft script, dated December 20th, 1967, had the Enterprise bridge crew watching an episode of Bonanza on the view screen. This is the only episode of Star Trek in which time travel is treated as routine. The temporal prime directive does not yet appear to have been proposed, least of all taken effect. Excuse me. Along with the Vians and Khan, Colonel Gary Seven is one of the few humanoids to have ever manifested insensitivity to a Vulcan nerve pinch. This episode was first aired on March 29th, 1968. Remember that assassination? 6 days later, on April 4th, 1968, there was indeed an important assassination. Martin Luther King Jr. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What was your take?
He got shot.
Fair enough. However, the coincidence goes beyond this. Spock says that the same day as the assassination that the U.S. was launching an orbital nuclear warhead platform. The King assassination was the same day as the launch of the unmanned Apollo 6 Saturn V rocket. This same Saturn V, amazingly enough, also suffered a serious mishap and went off course. The details of the mishap with the Saturn V on April 4th differ greatly in detail from the events of Assignment Earth. However, Kirk comments at the end of the episode that the real events were never generally revealed at the time. It makes sense, therefore, to assume, within the context of Star Trek's fictional history, that there was a massive cover-up about the Apollo 6 mishap, and that a false cover story was put out to hide the truth that they were launching a nuclear weapon into orbit. You believe that?
Yeah, possible.
Very possible. This episode uses footage of the Apollo 4 Saturn V, the only previous test of that rocket. Chronologically, the closest candidate to Spock's other prediction of a government coup in Asia would be the July 17th military coup in Iraq that brought Saddam Hussein to power. This episode takes place entirely in 1968, with no scenes in the 23rd century. Along with the Enterprise episode's Stormfront, which takes place in 1944, this is one of only 2 Star Trek episodes based entirely in the 20th century. Furthermore, both episodes take place mostly in and around New York City. Imagine that. The events of this episode, which take place in 1968, occurred from the point of view of the Enterprise crew over a year after those of Tomorrow is Yesterday, which take place in 1969. This is the only episode where a Federation transporter system is used to intercept and redirect another transporter beam. I didn't know that. Shit, I thought I was the expert too. East 68th Street is also the street that was home to the main characters from the Desilu TV show I Love Lucy. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
Hey, you learn something new every day, don't you? Or in this case, every week. Robert Lansing is the only Star Trek original series guest star whose credit appears after the opening credits instead of during the end credits, complete with character name. The fact that the episode was to serve as the pilot for a proposed spin-off series explains the unique credits. I knew that one. Bill Blackburn appears as a rocket control room technician in this episode, one of the few times he is seen out of a Starfleet uniform. He can also be seen walking in front of Gary Seven just after he materializes at McKinley Rocket Base. Eddie Paskey appears as a crewman in a gold command tunic in a corridor during Kirk's intercom address. Lieutenant Brent is with him in the corridor, and he too is wearing a command uniform instead of his usual sciences. A moment later, he appears in a red jumpsuit with Scott in engineering. The first shot is actually a recycled one from the Corbinite maneuver. Leslie must have had several twins. Must have been like Octopus or something. I see him around a lot. Terry Garr had a very unpleasant time filming this episode, perhaps stemming from Gene Roddenberry's involvement in decisions regarding her costume, specifically the length of her skirt. The hem was taken up so much it became very distorted. In interviews since, she has refused to talk about Star Trek in any way. Knowing Roddenberry, I believe it. Well, knowing what I know about him. The establishing shot of downtown Manhattan used to open Act 2 is also seen in numerous episodes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. throughout that series. A close-up of Montgomery Scott behind the transporter station is recycled from The Enemy Within. Stock footage of the Enterprise orbiting Earth without clouds is reused from Miri. The Beta 5 computer contains many components from the M5 in the Ultimate computer. These components were recycled yet again for All Our Yesterdays. You know, the one with Mr. Atos.
Good.
Bless you. A new effect is used for the transporter as Seven is beamed aboard for the first time. Slow-motion flames can be seen behind the opaque black of the wall chamber. This was likely created using a rear projection. The rocket storage buildings, at the rocket base were studio buildings from the Paramount lot, with NASA footage of Apollo rockets matted in above them. I could see that line. You remember seeing that? You see the line? This is the third and last episode utilizing Paramount office building exteriors for location filming. It's dead, Jim. After bread and circuses and patterns of force, and a wonderful attention to detail, launch director Cromwell's car matches the car seen in one of the stock footage sequences. Good job. Very good job. NASA shot all their footage using the anamorphic format. Hence, all the rocket launch stock footage in this episode is cropped from the 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio to television's conventional 1.33 to 1. The rocket stock footage in this episode is actually of 3 Saturn V's. Footage of the rocket on the ground is a combination of the SA-500F test vehicle, the only Saturn V to feature USA markings on the third stage, and Apollo 6, the only Saturn V launched with a white service module. Footage of the rocket launching is of Apollo 4. Excuse me. This is the only episode of the second season to have Gene Roddenberry credited as producer instead of executive producer. The first time he had received such a credit since the first season. Roddenberry wanted to be very hands-on for this episode, as he hoped to turn it into a spin-off series. He rewrote Art Wallace's script and was heavily involved in production, including sets, props, casting of actors, and even the costume of Terry Garr, which I mentioned earlier. Much to the anger of costume designer William Ware Thies. This is also the only episode of the second season that has no credited studio executive in charge of its production, as Herb Solow had left Paramount Television by this time and would be replaced by Doug Kramer beginning with the third season. And finally, in the remastered version of this episode, the Earth appears to be rotating backwards while the Enterprise is in orbit. Guess they really were going backwards. That is all I have for that. Let's look at the time. Holy crap, 27 minutes. I got half a beer. Let's slam it home. It's dead, Jim. Admiral, thank you so much for joining me. It has been an honor.
My pleasure.
And ladies and gentlemen at home, thank you for watching me, however you watch. Be it YouTube, Facebook, or through your computer, your tablet, your television, however you do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make like the Enterprise would warp out. Everybody take care. Have an awesome night or day. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, name it after me. Don't drink and drive because you might spill your drink. More importantly, you might kill yourself or someone else. Drinking and driving is dumber than being a Twilight fan. What's worse than that is rooting for cheating bastards like the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick and Tom Giselle won't let me go to the Pro Bowl. Brady, men slapping women, racism, animal abuse, fake friends, people who welch on bets, or anyone who's a member of, supports, defends ISIS or the Westboro Baptist Church. Did you know they tried to picket Leonard Nimoy's funeral? Did you know they couldn't get it done? You know why? Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Things like that are highly illogical, and I will not make time for them. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Admiral and myself, I wish you all live long and prosper.